Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Father, y'all, we just come before you right now in prayer in the name of your son, Yahushua Mashiach, magnify your name right now because you're worthy. Father, y'all, thank you right now for this day that you have made. We should continue to rejoice in it and be glad. I thank you right now for just constantly being with us right now, constantly just giving us knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding on how to maneuver in this system of things, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding on your word. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding how to maneuver in the realm of the Ruach.
Yes.
We thank you right now for just constantly giving us even the gifts that we need to edify the kingdom. We thank you for the prophetic gift. We thank you right now for the gift of discernment, even more. We thank you for gifts of healing. We thank you right now for gifts of interpretation of dreams. Everything as a whole, we thank you for right now.
Yes.
We thank you as we acknowledge that it's in you that we live and that we move and that we have our being. We come against all forms of sorcery. We come against all forms of distractions. We come against everything of the dark force, everything that's not like you. We come against it right now.
Yes,
we thank you right now. We quench every fiery dart of the enemy with the word of you. We magnify your name right now because there's none like unto you, Father. I thank you right now for everything that you've been doing as a whole. We thank you that we realize that it's not of our own abilities, in you that we live and that we breathe and that we have our being. We thank you right now that it's you that gives us the ability to get wealth. We thank you right now that you give us the ability to overcome all situations. You said in your word, with man impossible, with Yah all things are possible for him that believes. And we thank you right now that we operate by faith right now. We think that we move by faith. We think that we do not move by sight. We think that we're not easily moved. We're not easily distracted. We're not easily set aside by the works of the enemy right now. We think right now that we don't conform to anything that's not like you. We don't let the system begin to program us. We come against all forms of programs, all forms of social media distraction, anything that's going on as a whole that's taking people's mind captive, that's keeping them totally outside of the will of Yah. I thank you right now for just allowing us to be able to be in tune with the things that you are not in tune to what's going on, what they put before us. We thank you right now that we don't submit to the propaganda. We don't submit to the things that the enemy is trying to bring before us on a regular basis. The thing that he began to deem to be normal, we understand that these things are not normal to Yah, that one be totally consumed, that one be totally consumed with the things of this world, with certain fears and certain tactics that the enemy used to try to get us distracted. We think right now we don't fall for the games and tricks. We think right now that we are aware of the devices that the enemy has. We think right now we quench every fiery dart of the enemy with the word of you, Yah. Yah, we magnify your name right now. I'd like to take just a moment out to just let you know that I appreciate you right now. I'd like to take a moment out to just let you know that we exalt your name right now. We exalt the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. We thank you right now for the mere breath in our body. We thank you right now for just getting us up this morning and letting us be in the land of the living and not the land of the dead. A lot of people did not make it. We thank you right now that we made it this day. We made it this day. This is another day that we can just begin to rejoice and begin to magnify your name and just tell you that we appreciate you. We don't take it for granted that you woke us up this morning. We don't take it for granted that we didn't die in a car wreck. We don't take it for granted that we didn't die in our sleep. We don't take it for granted, Father, that we're not stricken with some type of illness or anything of that nature. We thank you right now for the health in our body right now. We thank you for a healthy mind. We thank you right now for just allowing us to excel in the things of you. We think that we're not mediocre. We think that we should do great things in you. We think that the thing that we should do should be mighty. We thank you right now we begin to go out and go after the kingdom right now. We come against all forms of bitterness, all forms of bickering, anything that the enemy tries to use to cause us to be distracted and cause us to be at war against one another. We come against that type of ruach. We thank you right now that we're not self-centered. We're not just surrounded around just our own self and our own family. We're out trying to be a light. We think as we begin to be out, that people begin to see the light that's shining in us, and we begin to be a witness unto people, that people begin to ask for the hope, asking a question like, what is the hope that we have in us? We begin to give an answer and let them know that it's the Mashiach. Let them know that we're tired of the games, the religious games that we've seen being played in certain synagogues and things out there. That we begin to just want to get connected with the true church, with the true body of the Mashiach. We thank you right now. We begin to be lovers one to another, that men may know that we are your disciples, even more as your words say. We thank you that we're not concerned about our own self. We're not just concerned about just our own being. We're concerned about the well-being of others. We're concerned about the health of others. We think we should be given to hospitality and begin to be helpers in the kingdom of you and not selfish. We think right now, we come against a selfish ruach. We come against a self-righteous ruach. We come against a self-made ruach. We think that we need one another. We think right now, we acknowledge that when the enemy tries to come in like a flood, it's your word and it is you that begin to lift up a standard against the enemy. We do not bow to the distractions of the enemy. We realize that it is you that created everything. It is you that created us and not we ourselves. Once again, we magnify your name right now.
Yes,
I just want to let you know that I appreciate you.
Yes,
and I thank you for what you're doing. I'm clapping my hand just as a sound of a sign of gratitude unto you, just to let you know that I appreciate you right now. Just to let you know that there's none like unto you, Father Yah. Father Yah, I thank you right now that the atmosphere is set. I thank you right now that in your word you said that we can't praise you with music, but with the clap of my hands, I can magnify your name right now. As I clap my hands, I magnify your name right now. Though the enemy took the music, we still begin to clap our hands. We still have a voice right now. We still have a way to come unto you right now. Coming to you with thanksgiving right now. We come to you with praise right now. We come to you letting you know that the atmosphere shall be set. But the enemy shall not come against anything, Father Yah. We thank it is you that controls, Father Yah. It's you that gives us the ability, Father Yah, to come unto you, Father Yah. We come unto you magnifying your name. We sound the trumpet with our voice right now. As I begin to speak right now, I thank that the angels are around right now, that they're going out in the camp and destroying the works of the enemy right now. We pull down every stronghold, everything that's not like you, we come against it right now. We destroy the power of darkness right now. But this is the warfare that's missing in the house of God. We come unto you right now, and we understand and we hear your word. When you say, hear, O Yahweh, all, for you are one, and we understand that we should be one in you as you come. We thank you right now that we are ready, that when you come back through the clouds, that we shall begin to hear that word say, well done, my good and faithful servant, enter into my rest. For you shall hunger no more, for you shall thirst no more, for the former days have been passed away. And we thank you that we should begin to be there with that which is mortal, to put on immortality. We thank you right now that this flesh shall fade away, but not the glory flesh that you should give us. We just magnify your name. We thank you right now that we should be ready in season and out of season. And everything we give thanks. And we magnify your name right now. For you are worthy. For you are worthy. But this is one thing that the enemy can't take. He can't take the praise. He can't take the praise. And we begin to praise you. We pierce through the atmosphere right now. We pierce through the atmosphere right now. And we thank you right now. For you are worthy. For you are worthy. We magnify your name. You are worthy. You are worthy. We magnify your name.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Who is that like unto you, Father Yah?
Hallelujah.
Who is that like unto you? That light of fire inside. Who is that like unto you? That light of fire inside. We thank you that the fire should always be lit. Magnifying your name because you're worthy.
Hallelujah.
Magnify your name. We thank you right now.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
We thank you right now, Father Yah. We magnify your name.
Yeah.
As we go into the Palau, we go into the prayer of you. We begin to say, our Father who established Yeshua in the heavens. Exalted is your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our transgressions as we forgive those who transgress against us. And lead us not into evil inclination, but deliver us from outer darkness. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right, y'all, we're here. We're going to be going a little different today. We're going to be talking about self-will, the self-will individual. And most of the time, the self-will individual falls in line with the self-righteous individual and the narcissist. All those kind of go hand in hand. And what we just read, the Palau, which is the prayer, is showing what the Most High want. You know what I'm saying? When the prayer said, thy will be done, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in Shamayim or in heaven. So when you see this here, we understand that the Most High don't want our will to be done, but he wants his will to be done. In order to do his will, you can't have a self-will. Self-will is a will that's given from the world. Like this is what people say, a self-made man, a boss bee. All this stuff here is just the enemy is kind of saying, do as thou wilt. Like, don't do what I want you to do what you want, do what you want to do. And when you focus like that, what you start having is these driven, self-driven agendas and stuff. And the Most High, like what we try to do is, we'll get into certain scripture when it talks about the rich man, when he say, oh, good one, what must I do? Like, the Most High is not going for any flattery or anything like that. It's like, it gets to a point where whatever you thought you were supposed to be doing, because think about it, when you've been transferring, what we learn in religion is he'll just use you like you are and just anoint that and you roll on. Sometimes you have to totally change. Like all the time, the Most High is not going to just, he'll let you can't change your character of who you are, like how you've been, like the way you are, but it can be in a sense where it's actually respectful. Like if you have somebody that's feisty, of course, they won't not be feisty, but they're not supposed to be disrespectful. Like if they're saying they got the fruit of the rock, but we're talking about missions and stuff that you have in life. Like you might say, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that, because you've been taught to be this or taught to be that. We're saying grow up to go do this or that. And this isn't not people that go into certain profession, but sometimes the Most High change these agendas and say, look, I understand you want to do this, but I need you to do this. And it's hard to do that because of the self-will. That's the thing. When you have that self-will, you feel like whatever you came up in your mind, right, that's what you want to do, but that's not how the Most High operate. This is where the rebellious route comes in at, because sometimes you have to give up what you want to do. And like, this is like, how are you dying to the state? How are you doing this? How are you following the Mashiach? This is why Paul began to say, follow me as I follow Mashiach. It's like what he said, what man is not willing to leave mother, brother, sister, like willing to leave everything and pick up his stake and follow me. That's saying that sometimes you have to leave certain profession that you want to do just to do what the Most High wanted you to do. Sounds dumb to the world, but this is not what we're supposed to be focusing after. See, the thing is, we're thinking that we're not going to have anything if we don't do it the way the world constructed us to have it. Like the Most High said, a cattle on 1,000 hills is mine. He said, the silver and gold is mine. He said, I'll test the keen heart and turn it in whatever direction that I will. So therefore, if you trust the Most High, when he say go and leave your cloak, they'll leave your purse, they'll leave everything, they'll take nothing with you. And whatever home you enter into, if they don't receive you, kick the dust off your feet. See, he already know that what you need already. See, he's going to take care of you if you're in the will of him. This is why what makes it difficult to let go of the self-will is we want security. We want security in our own self. We want to make sure that we have secured something. Like, this isn't saying you got to be broke, but what it is saying that your agenda sometimes may have to be done away with to pick up the agenda of the Most High. Like, you may think you want to be one thing, but he may want you to totally be something else. Even though out of all your energy and mind, you have done all this work to become this, whatever you say. And I'm saying this to not disrespect any titles or anything, because it's not about a title of what somebody wants to be. This is in general. No matter what title you put on it, he may want you to be the total opposite. Like, just to give you an example, you may say, I want to be a mechanic. He say, no, I want you to be a janitor. I'm just giving you an example. Like, we don't care how high or low the position is. But the thing is, the Most High's job is not to anoint what you've already started. That's the thing. Like, this is what people think. Like, he's not obligated to just, I would say, just bless or to anoint or just to further you on in whatever endeavor that you've already created and just start saying, hey, praise him, I'm gonna do this. Sometimes he wants you to do something different. That's why we have to seek the will of the Most High. What is the Most High's will? Sometimes his will don't make sense to your logical mind. Like, he may say, I want you to go here. Even though it seems like it ain't working out, it's not making sense, doesn't mean that's not what he wanted. It just means that it was easier the way the world showed you, because you were not used to submitting your will unto his will. And once you submit your will unto his will, you'll begin to realize that, see, this is why the enemy tried to mess a lot up this morning, because the self-will this is deep. When you deal with self-will, once again, self-will, self-righteousness, and the narcissist, all these kind of go hand in hand. So when you're dealing with self-will, it's saying that, not that you can't be all you can be. Like the Most High, he say, beloved, I wish that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prosper. That's the thing. You know, when you look at these things and say, even as your soul prosper, he don't want you to have the money and then your soul go to hell. You want both of them. That's why I say bodily exercise profit is little, but it's still profit. It's still profits. He wants you to exercise. We don't want you to spend all your time and just try to be some gym brat. You know what I mean? Like, they want you to take care of your body and take care of your mind and your ruach at the same time. It needs to be a balance. And so dealing with this here, we looked at thy will be done. That's why the prayer says that, you know what I'm saying? Thy kingdom come. It's talking about the Most High. So when I looked at the self-will, I got governed by your own will, not yielding to the will of Yah or to the will of others that's submitted unto Yah. You're pretty much obstinate. Everything is solid. Everything is about you. You're unchanged. You're not trying to do nothing outside of what you're supposed to be doing. wanting it all no matter what the cost, wanting to use others only for your benefits, uncooperative unless they have an ulterior motive. It has to benefit them in some way, deaf to reasoning. A self-willed individual usually has narcissistic traits. Usually they fall under the narcissistic personality disorder, which is a mental health condition which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. They feel the need to seek lots of attention and wants others to admire or recognize them. Lack the ability to understand and to care about other feelings, usually easily upset by the slightest criticism. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying. This is what we have going on. This is what I see in most of these puffed up ministers that I ran into. Like, they have these narcissistic traits. And when you say something contrary to the word or contrary to what, when I say the word, contrary to the word, the way they bring it, it's like automatically they take the offense. They start fighting like you're a bad person. Now, like the word don't say, dude, it said that they was reasoning among each other to see whether these things were so. They don't want to have the reason because the motive it don't fit their motive and their agenda. When you go in there and you say, okay, look, I see that the Most High is saying we're not supposed to be doing this. This supposed to be happening. No, if it's a plaque on the wall say we believe this and it goes against that, they're not going to change that because you showed them something. They're going to figure a way to make it fit into their agenda. This is the self-willed individual. The person that's following the will of Yah, if their heart is right, will see that and they'll take it down and they'll either get kicked out, leave, or if they're the pastor at that point, then they'll just lose everybody. I know a guy that lost pretty much the whole church because he wanted to do what the Most High said do. I mean, almost everybody walked out on him. And sad to say, just a lot, like say a lot happened with the guy, like say, so not gonna go too much into that, but I'm just saying when you start dealing with a self-willed individual, it has to be centered around what they're trying to do, no matter what it's like. They have to do things in a manner in which the mission that's been driven in their mind. They're not trying to take on the mind of the Mashiach. Their mind is already focused on doing what they're gonna do no matter what. It's like come hell or hot water, they're trying to get something complete, like a mission that they're trying to get complete, and the Most High can't interrupt it. This is the problem. See, the Most High is he's not just in the business of stamping off on what you deem to be with something he showed you. Like some of these good ideas are not ideas of Yah. These are ideas we come up with in our own mind. And some of this stuff, he'll be okay with it down the line, but most of the time he's wanting you to go in a different direction, but the different direction is hard. So since the different direction is hard, we ignore that different direction and go to the way that we see by the world, and we do it that way. Because everybody that's operating in the direction of the world is going to be against you. When you say, look, the Most High told me to pick up and do this, you're going to say, you did all this? You went to school for 5 years and now you finna do this? No, he don't care about that. He didn't tell you to do that. You did this because this is the way the society taught you. So since the society taught you to do it this way, you feel like, okay, this is the way it's supposed to go. So when something changes or somebody give you a word and say, look, I saw you doing this, it seemed foreign to you because you say, I didn't put no time and energy into that. Well, that's the thing. You're not going to have no skin in the game of what the Most High tell you to do sometimes. You have to start fresh. And it takes faith to believe that this is him. This is why you have to be sure of a calling that you have. It's not a self-call type situation. It has to be a call that the Most High has given you. And sometimes to do that, you have to abandon the call of the world. This is the problem. Everybody's trying to take the world's calling along with the Most High's calling. Sometimes it don't go hand to hand, and sometimes it do go hand in hand. Sometimes he won't use you in that area until you do the other thing he's saying do. And sometimes you'll be wondering why you feel out of place, because he's telling you to do something else, but it just doesn't seem to be coming. It doesn't seem to be something that's a normal thing. So you're not going to do it because you don't want to be laughed at. You don't want others to say, okay, why are you doing that? You crazy. You done went through all this. But the Most High doesn't operate like that. He doesn't care about who thinks you're stupid and all this stuff. He cares about what he said do. If he tells you to relocate, you have to relocate. It doesn't matter, because things are going to happen. Everything under the sun is going to have to make you say, oh, I shouldn't have done this. I should have did it this way. But technically, when you look at it, the Most High, he's not finna just stamp off on something that you created just because of the fact that you got everything lined up. It's like we want to put everything from A to Z in line, and then we want the Most High to bless it. Like that's not faith. That's you securing everything and then want him to bless it. That's not walking on faith. That's just you making sure you got things taken care of. Like we have to look at, like, we're not saying you shouldn't work, you shouldn't do these things. But it's like some things that you're doing, the Most High wants you to do it in a different manner. He may want people to change certain things that they have going on, even profession-wise, but we can't because it doesn't fit our natural mind, and it seems to be stupid because we can't lock it down. We have no security in it. So it looks like it's something that the world teaches you to do this, do that, and do that, and everything has to be lined up from A to Z, but that's not how the Most High operates. When you're dealing with the Most High, I'm a firm believer that the Most High is still in the business of giving things. The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. He'll give you a home. He'll give you land. He'll give you a car. Like all these things, he will give it right out. Somebody come to you and say, look, this is what I'm supposed to give you all this. Everything be laid out. But if you're saying you trust in the creator of heaven and earth and of the whole universe, how can it not happen? So, we have to look at, so if you're doing the will of him, he's going to take care of you. See, you already know what you have need of, but the thing is, you haven't submitted. You're only trusting him in what you have the strength to do. So since you're doing that, that's all he's blessing you in. He's not trying to do anything outside that. He still have grace and mercy in that area. We're talking about the self-will, so you still go on as a normal. That's no different from you and the person that's in the world. Like, it's no different because you're not trusting for anything. You're just kind of just fixing everything up. You're getting everything secure, and it's like you have nothing to lose. Like everything you got set up, everything is set up. But when you're dealing with the Most High, if he say pick up and do this and do that, if you know for a fact it's him, he'll confirm it. If you know for a fact this is him, he gonna take care of you. It's like somebody gonna give you what you got to have. I promise you they will. And it's just gonna work just that way. But the thing is, the trust factor, it has to be there. To not have that self-will, you have to trust in Yah. And to trust in Yah is not saying that you're ignorant. It's just saying that I trust the Most High in something that I'm unfamiliar with. Because he may send you somewhere. He may say, look, I want you to do this. And you say, man, it take this and that to do that. It don't take that. He say the king heart is in his hand. There's always some loophole in this system that we have. And the Most High may tell you to go he may say, look, I want you to go be a safety director. There's somebody that I want you to see, well, I got to do this. Yeah, man, he'll have you in some kind of thing, get a certificate, and you be in that thing. Next thing you know, you got some kind of suit and tie on. I'm not saying that's how you need to look, but I'm just saying that's how it works. He's not focused on what all has to happen. That stuff is the world. When the Most High come in, he the one that's going to create the loophole for you to go in and do what you got to do. If he's saying you need to do something different. And this is why we have to look at, don't just try to have security in your own will. You have to have security in the will of Yah, because that's where real security would be at. Because in your will, you may say, okay, I've done all this stuff I need to do. Then what happened when they snatch the rug from upon you? Everything closed down. You can't do it no more. Well, you in your own will. So now you got to start fresh. Now you're starting where you should have been at from the beginning, seeking what the will of Yah is. And so we're looking at, we're going to look at Romans 12, starting off at the first verse. And like I say, we're dealing with the self-will, self-righteous individual. Romans 12.
Romans 12 and 1. 1 to 12. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yah, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, set apart, acceptable unto Yahuwah, which is your reasonable service.
See, I say, which is your reasonable service. That's your reasonable service. So if you present your body a living sacrifice, you sacrifice your body unto Yah, that's going to tell him what he wants you to do. You know what I'm saying? If you do this, but we can't do this because we have to feel like we have to be what we feel like we've been born to do. Like that's not always lined up with the will of Yah. It don't take away from that, but it's not always the will of Yah. Like if that was the case, we'll need no faith. If we can always just look at somebody and identify, oh, you're going to be this. I seen this from the growth, but he'll change that. And just because that natural mind individual has seen that don't mean that this individual is going to do that. Like you have people that probably been born to go to the NBA because they played ball, but they were in this system of things. But the Most High had a different path for them, and he didn't send them to play ball. But they look like that because they grew up in this system, and it's what we at. So that's what all they done was that. So they trained for it, and this it was in their bloodline, probably in their gene. But that don't mean that's the will of the Most High. Like when he created you, you're going to become a new creature. And sometimes the new creature may do away with what people naturally see in their mind you were born to be. So it's like, go ahead.
And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Yah.
Okay, so what does that approve if you already got it? If you already know, everybody can look and see you were born to do this. It's like it said, be ye transformed. That's the thing, by the renewing of your mind. So that's a new mind. That's everything, a new creature, new mind, all this stuff is different. It's like, and this is a tough message because everybody wants to lock down what everybody's supposed to do in their eyes, what they see the person doing, because what the traits that they see in the natural man, that's what they're looking at. But that's not how the Most High operates. It don't mean that nobody won't be that way, but you definitely can't lock the Most High down to what the majority of people can see an individual doing. Like, it doesn't work that way. It didn't work that way with David. When Samuel came, he saw all the sons, and he figured it was going to be the oldest son. That's how it normally works, but no, it was David. He was nowhere near. He was going out there bringing his brothers bread and things while they was out there in the world, but he was the one that was chosen to be anointed. The oil did not come out of Samuel's horn until David got there. He said, I'm not going to rest until I see the other son. And when David came, the oil begins to come out, and that's the one that fought and beat and killed the giant. That's the thing, but he was the one that people did not expect to do it. And this is why you have to look at it like with man looks on the outward appearance. And this is what the Most High told Samuel. He said, yeah, he looks on the heart. He looks at the inward. He see what's going on. He really know the real you. Like, most people operate in some facade or some type of, a world that's not even real. And most of the stuff is stemmed from social media and stuff, where a lot of people are not even who they are for real. Like, these people are not really that, but this is they get a chance to be in a so-called alternate or play world, you know what I'm saying, and hide behind the computer and stuff like that. It's not really them, but it's not a real true examination of the individual. When the Most High deal with you, all that stuff comes off like you won't be set up that way. He's gonna know for a fact you are who you are. Like, the real you will be exposed if you try to play and try to deal with, with things as if the Most High have told you to deal with it. You're going to sink. When the whole ship sinks, you're sinking too if you're playing around, if it's not real. But when you're dealing with the Most High that's authentic, you'll be just like Paul and them. You'll come in on the shore on boards, on just pieces of wood, and you won't drown. That's the thing, but you drown trying to put on a mask and a facade, trying to be something that you're not. Like, this is not, that's part of the narcissist. Like these ways and traits are part of that when you have individuals trying to, because you have to keep going. It's like a lie. When you tell one, you have to keep telling them just to keep it afloat. It just don't stop. It's like the rabbit hole has no end. So you have to make sure that you're standing on a solid foundation. And the only way you can stand on a solid foundation is to get rid of your will and let the Most High's will be done in your life. And sometimes that costs a whole lot, not just a little bit, but it costs a lot. It means you have to change identity. That's the thing. So to change identity means you become a different person. So all the time becoming a different person is not going to always mean you're doing what you think in your natural mind or others think you were born to do. It's not always like that. It's where he see the need is at. Wherever he see the need is at, he'll tell you what he wants you to do. He'll tell you, look, I need you to study this. This is what I need you to do. This is what I need you to work at. I need you to work at this part concerning the word. He say, look, I need you to study on everything concerning healing. I'm gonna use you in this area, whether it be through health, whether it be in the ruach. It's certain things he'll tell you, and you have to just dive in and go after that, because that's where he want to hire you at. That's the thing. But see, most of these people are operating just looking at things, thinking, okay, I just need to read everything. And no, you need to read, but at the same time, you need to find out where he wants you at. Like, what is it that he wants you to do? What's his will for you? If he say, look, I need you to look at dissecting this word. I need you to look at line upon line, precept upon precept, all the games and tricks that's going on. I need you to be able to just go against him and show him what my true word is. Okay, so you be studying, just looking at most of everything he show you, things be downloaded, come to you. So you need to figure out where he want to use you at and not be all over the place. That's the thing. So we have to make sure that, okay, what is his will concerning me? This way you'll put most of the emphasis at and what he called you to do. If it's healing, you'll look at everything concerning healing. You'll constantly be in prayer. You'll constantly be in fasting, constantly praying for those that you know need healing. Like, your heart will be geared toward that. You'll have compassion to heal individuals. And that's the thing. So we have to look at what he want to use us at as a whole. Go ahead.
All right, 3. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, to not think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as Yahuwah has dealt to every man the measure of belief. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we, being many, are one body in Mashiach, and everyone members of one another.
So it says that we're members in one body, and everybody don't have the same office. So that's what I'm saying. Like, don't mimic somebody. Don't just look at what somebody else is doing. Like these copycat things that we see. You can't copy some other big preacher or something like that, because that's the office he may be in, if it's even a real office, what he's doing. So like you have to be concerned about what it is that he called you to do, what office are you need to be operating in. This is what I'm saying. So we understand there's so many different members, but at the same time, it's one body, but everybody don't covet what somebody else is doing. Like if you, just because you see them doing good at that, that's what the Most High may call them in. So they're going to do that like it's easy, but you're trying to do it because you feel like you're missing out and you want to feel like you're trying to catch up. Like that's not the Most High. Like this crab in a bucket mentality is not how we're supposed to operate. Like you got to operate in what he told you to operate in. And then, at that point, that's what you're going to be successful in, not what the next person is in. And it's not what you've been called to do. It don't mean you can't do it sometime. Like if I'm not called to be an evangelist, I don't need to be running all over the place. You know what I mean? Like I need to be doing what he told me to do. But the people that's called to be the evangelist, they have grace for that. Like the Most High gives them a grace for that on their whole family. Like everybody understands that this is what we have to do. But when that's not what you have to do, you're doing it because you see somebody else doing it, feeling missed out, trying to catch up. Like stop chasing one another. You know what I'm saying? You got to chase after the will of the Most High for your life. And when you do that, then if you see somebody operate in that area, you can actually look to them as a mentor or start connecting with them so that you can grow in the area together. But don't look at things and you see other individuals doing it, feeling like you're sometimes that's just not your calling. You may not have the grace for healing. You may not have the grace for certain things like the prophetic. It just may not be you. So don't force it. Like the Most High, if it's you, it's going to flow. And if he's giving it to you, you're going to have it. But if he didn't give it to you, he may giving you another one. And you have to thank him for what he given you. But you have to find out, there's a message I put on here about be sure of your own calling. Whatever calling that you have is the calling that you're going to have grace in. You're not going to have grace in other callings. Like you can do them, but the grace is going to be in what you do. You know how people do things and it's so gracefully how they do it, just to show your world example, like how people flip certain things they do. You say, man, they just do that, man, so gracefully, like they don't have no effort. Yeah. Effortlessly. They do it effortlessly without effort is how they do it. They don't have to even put no energy toward doing it. It's like they do it naturally like that. So, but go ahead.
6. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of belief. Or ministry, let us wait on our ministering. Or he that teaches on teaching. Or he that exhorts on exhortation. He that gives, let him do it with simplicity. He that rules with diligence. He that shows mercy with cheerfulness.
And it started breaking down certain things. I'm not saying that certain ones won't do the other thing, but it gave you an example. Like it didn't say everybody was doing all of this. It said he that. When it breaks it down like that, it's showing that, not saying that you can't. Like we have to get out of this mentality of all this, like everybody's like motivational speaking, I think has ruined a whole lot of people, believers' mind, because it teaches you to do whatever and just to force things. It teaches you to go after the universe to give it to you and all this stuff, and you're just going after everything. But when you realize that there's a calling, you put energy in that area, that's when the Most High start actually using you more in that area. But when you're trying to just go after everything, you kind of going back to the self-willed individual. You're going back to being self-righteous. You're going back to the self-made man or the boss, be all this stuff today. This is what the world uses, these titles. And it's showing that you're not trying to separate anything. You're just trying to get everything by any means necessary. Like a lot of these movies have screwed up a lot of our people, a lot of this New Jack City and Scarface and all this stuff here. And you got people, this type of mentality, and they're trying to go after it, in that manner. But that's not how the Most High don't operate like that. He don't operate like no mobster or nothing like that, or like no gangster or nothing like that. He operates in the sense of doing things decent and in order. If it's not done in an orderly fashion, you're not going to make it. It's like you're going to find yourself trying to be something that he didn't call you to be, because the world teaches you to go after it. Just go get it. Just you can do it. Just teach you to be a believer in what? I need to narrow this down and figure out what is the Most High telling me to do. I'm not supposed to just reach at everything. And when I'm doing that, it's like I'm just saying, I'm just trusting pretty much the universe to give me anything I ask for. And that's self-destruction. Because once you get it, you may not be able to maintain it. It may corrupt you. It may send you straight to hell. Like you've obtained it here, but what happens if it sends you to hell? Some people can't handle certain amounts of riches. They go and start sinning and stuff, and they can't operate in that manner. So it's like, I'll go to the next.
9. Let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil. Cleave to that which is good. Be kindly affectioned one to another in brotherly love and honor, preferring one another. Not slothful in business, fervent in the ruach, serving Yahuwah, rejoicing in hope,
You can keep going.
patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer. Keep going.
The 14.
Distributing to the necessity of the set apart ones, giving to hospitality, bless them which persecute you, bless and curse not.
Yeah, that was it. So when you look at all this here, it's telling you what he's asking you to do. And when you see all this right here, it's showing you the character that he wants you to have. This isn't the character of somebody that's operating as some type of monster or something like that. This is showing that you have given to hospitality. It means that you're concerned about the well-being of others. I mean, like you want to help others. You want to make sure that they have what they need, but it teaches you, I got mine, you get yours. That's what the world teaches you, but that's not the Most High. That's not the ruach of the Most High. That's the ruach of corruption. And it's like it's going to lead a lot of people in hell because we're only thinking about just the 10 commandments. And we're thinking, okay, well, I do this, but what is, when he start talking to you about loving your neighbor and stuff like that, you're like, who is your neighbor? Like, we talking about not just the average person that's just out there in the street, like this stuff that they teach you. We're not talking about a next door neighbor like that. I mean, we're supposed to go out there and be a light among men. But when we start talking about, when I look at the brethren and look at neighbors and everything like that, I'm looking at those that are in the kingdom as a whole, those that are doing the will of Yahshua, those that are doing the will of the Most High in Yahshua, that are actually submitted unto the commandments of the Most High. These are the ones that start saying help us one to another. Definitely ain't saying help the whole world. He said love not the world. Neither things that in. It's not saying you hate them, but they have to come in. Like they have to come in and be a light, like what Christianity teaches you and all these other religions, just to go out there and start giving money to anybody that asks and anybody on the street. That's not Yah. Like if you'd have done all that, then it shouldn't be nobody in Yahshua that needs money. If you didn't sit out there and gave to somebody that's out there on the street, you don't know what they finna do with. That's not the Most High's pattern. Like, that's not how he operates. Like it talks about helping one another. So it shouldn't be nobody in Yahshua that need help if you giving your money to a random stranger out there. What you're doing is casting pearls before swine because you have a Christian mentality. And you think that just because you saw this person out here, kind of like the sad puppy look when they show those movies and they show the worst parts of Africa with the guy with the children with the big stomachs and they're eating something look like oatmeal and it's running down their mouth. This stuff is done as a game and it plays on you because you're weak-minded. You know what I mean? Because you don't understand. So that's why when somebody have this sign out there, man, I've seen this stuff and the Most High show me this stuff for a reason. I've seen it and I've seen them gather everybody up. I've seen it in action. It's like, watch this. So I've seen it. Sign being held up. Okay, a car rolls by, talk to them. It's almost like you're saying, it's moving too slow. And they gather up, pack up, and go to another spot. It's a business. You know what I mean? But you're giving into it because you're weak-minded, because Christianity has taught you to give unto any man that asks. Man, that's not the word of Yah. I mean, that's what you doing that. We're supposed to be inside of we're supposed to be, everything that I see reading, when we see the gifts, it's for the upbuilding of the kingdom. That's why I say prophesying edifies the church. Tongue edifies you. So other than that, you should just be out there talking to anybody, doing whatever. But it's not saying that. You have to realize that when you're in the kingdom, there are things that operate for believers and there are things that happen for unbelievers. Unbelievers need some type of sign and a wonder. They need something that's going to show them, wow, man, this is what's happening in the kingdom. We don't need that. We're supposed to already believe in the Most High. We're supposed to already trust him. So it's like we have to get our mind right and get from off of, don't mix up these religions and stuff with what the Most High is telling you to do. Like when he starts saying, pray over your food, he's not saying pray over pork. He's saying pray over what's been set before you that's already clean, like that's deemed to be clean. Like if you think something wrong with a certain clean meat, then you don't want to eat it. But you're not, it's never a question that you're supposed to be eating something unclean. Like you have to really look at this stuff for what it's worth and realize that we have the 66 books, we have the Bible, but we have a copy, a translation. And a lot of things have been tweaked and been reworded to a point where it's making you think it's saying do something that's contrary to the will of Yah, but he's never saying that. He's always wanting you to be healthy. Why is he saying, I wish you prosper and be and get healthy, even as your soul prosper, and turn around and tell you start eating pork and bottom people? That's contradiction. But we don't think about that. We just see it and we want what it is. We don't want to be challenging our minds, so we easily gravitate toward pretty much sin. So we say, look, it's no big deal. since I did it then, I'm gonna do it now. Now it's gotta be okay because I haven't died physically, but you do die eventually. It starts doing things to your body. It starts taking your blood pressure high, and things start happening to you as a whole. And the doctor even tells you to stay away from it. Yet you're trying to justify and say you can pray over it and make it clean. You can't get salt out of food. I mean, you can't get poison out of food by just praying when you know better and you shouldn't be doing it. Like, this has got to be something you're doing by mistake. If you're already aware, you're tempting the Most High. So you have to make sure that you know what the will of the Most High is and not just be driven to do things out of a passion that's worldly. We feeding them now.
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at Matthew 23. Matthew 23, starting at the 24th verse. All right. So Matthew 23. Yeah, starting at verse 24.
All right. Matthew 23, verse 24. Ye blind guides, which strain at a net and swallow a camel. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye may clean the outside of the cup and of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess.
This is what we're talking about once again: self-will, the self-righteous, the narcissist. This is these individuals that look like they're religious, but at the same time, in the inside, you are not. And most of the time, these people are doing their own will. They're not doing the will of the Most High. They just appear to be one way. I've seen it on this side. I've seen it in the church, suited up, whatever it is. And here it is, you're writing in the inside. You got a garment on this side. You're writing in the inside. So it's like you can't, like you got them out there, you know, pretty much on the corner looking like a superhero, you know what I mean, and running folks away, but they're not preaching salvation. They're preaching like just us and that's it. That's not what the Most High talks about. He talks about being grafted in. He talks about being able to come in as long as you grab hold and latch hold to the commandments. You become Yasharal according to the word of Yah, not according to the bloodline. You know what I mean? Like that, but they're not talking the breakdown like that. They're just saying that it's just us and they made some type of fake chart up, you know, 12 tribes, and that stuff ain't real. Like, I don't know if they're government agents or not, but I'm just saying for what it's worth, most of them I've seen are inside dead man bone because the vibe you get from them, it seems to be like they're spewing hatred. Go ahead.
Okay. 26. You blind Pharisees, cleanse first that which is within the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you are likened to whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and all of uncleanness. Even so ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within ye are full of hypocrisy and iniquity.
Okay. And so it's just showing, like, this is just showing the individual looking like that they're of the Most High, but at the same time, you're not. And you're just saying this basically by word, but not by deed. It's like it's like all talk, and then there's no action. Most of the time when you see this, so you can't operate in that manner. You have to know that the way that you operate, it has to be the way that the Most High wants you to operate. It can't be in the way in which man wants you to operate. We're going to keep it moving. Let's look at 1 Corinthians, got a few more here. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, starting at the first verse. So we're going now. We're going to be talking about, once again, this is how he know that how men know that we're his disciples, that we have love one towards another. We show love and we have love. We have to operate not in ignorance, but in love. I'm saying, like, we have to operate in a sense where we're, I know the world has this warped definition of love. We understand what it is in Yasharal. It doesn't, love doesn't excuse you from responsibility, doesn't excuse you from paying somebody back in the kingdom that you owe. It's not saying, oh, you love me, you ain't got, no, you have to do the right thing. And at the same time, you have to have love. You can't just escape responsibility. Like, this happens I see this so much, people are misusing people. I mean, like, just because they're a family member, just because they're, and go to the same church, whatever, you figure if you borrowed $20, yeah, I love you, but you're supposed to pay the $20 back. You told me that. You lied. you wasn't a man or woman to your word. Like, you got to do that like that. That's how that works. Other than that, if I gave you something, then, okay, that's a gift, but we can't operate in a fantasy world. That's why I want to clear up what love is, an action word. It's not all about emotions and everything. It's not about just doing what somebody want you to do. Like, doesn't mean since I love you, don't mean that you say, hey, come over, let's do this, that I have to agree with that. Yeah, I still love you, but I have other things on my agenda. I can't do it. So if you love me, you should understand that too. But we have to look at, like I say, clear what is love before we get into talking about love, because love has been deemed to be pretty much something that's not even true for real. It's a fairy tale for most individuals, like an Alice in Wonderland type mentality. That's not how the Most High operate. Love has responsibilities. And we're going to start off at the first verse of 1 Corinthians chapter 13.
1 Corinthians 13:1. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not love, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all belief so that I could remove mountains and have not love, I am nothing.
And so what that reminds you of, we're going to say in the last days, did not we prophesy? Did not we heal the sick? Did not we do all these things in your name? You're going to say, depart from me. I never knew you, you worker of iniquity. So you can't do things just by being self-driven and not have no compassion toward the kingdom. Like everything needs to be geared toward the kingdom, getting ready to be rooted up and go into New Jerusalem. This is what we need to be looking at, everybody being built up so they can actually be ready, because there's going to be other things you do there. It doesn't end here. Like this what we at here in this realm is not the end. This is not where our life ends. Like, we have something that's going to be going on. We're going to reign as kings and priests and stuff in the new kingdom, in New Jerusalem. So it's like we have to operate in love in a manner in which we realize that just because we've done something, it doesn't excuse us from being responsible. It doesn't excuse our responsibility. Like, if you have responsibilities to me, like if you have a child and you're a man, you're supposed to be raising a child. Like, you don't get a chance to go out there and do everything else the Most High told you to do and ignore the responsibility and say, look, I'm not going to do nothing toward that. That's not of the Most High. That's you. You're doing one thing, but you didn't do the first thing you're supposed to be doing. Like, you skip that and start doing something else, and you want to use that to cover up the fact that you ain't doing that. Like, it doesn't work that way. Real, true love covers all bases. You don't just ignore stuff and then start shining a light on something else to say, okay, since I did this here, I'm gonna go do kind of like the dope man that say, okay, look, I'm gonna pass out turkeys during Thanksgiving, but you're giving poison to the neighborhood. So that's supposed to cover up the fact that, that you gave this poison out because you passed a few turkeys out. I'm just showing the example so we can see what this is. I mean, we can't just look at this and say, okay, everything is cool just because we're in ministry. You're in ministry, but you have responsibility. You can't have a rotten attitude and be easily offended. And then you say you're working for the Most High just so you went and preach a good message. You have a problem, and that's all that you have with a brother that you need to be cleaning up. But every time y'all run each other, there's beef. And the reason it's like that, because both of y'all are operating in pride. That doesn't get excused. Like, you have to deal with that because the Most High gonna deal with it. Don't care how many people you got saved and that you baptized. Go ahead.
Right, 3.
Yeah.
And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned and have not love, it profits me nothing.
And just to put emphasis on that, this is serious. So you can give your whole body to be burned and you ain't got love, it's a wrap. I mean, so it's like, so we have to realize that doing stuff doesn't excuse you from having love just because you're doing good deeds. I mean, it doesn't work that way. There's nobody that's good, you know what I'm saying, but the Most High. So like, you can't be righteous in your own eyes. You can't create a scenario to cover up sin. There's no way to cover it up. You can't create a scenario to cover up faults that you had. Like, I mean, you have to make sure that you realize that when you're doing something, that's good. And it's a good thing. It will be beneficial toward the person, but not toward the thing you did wrong. You got to go get it right. Go ahead.
Love suffers long and is kind. Love envies not. Love does not vaunt itself. It is not puffed up. Does not behave itself unseemly. Seeks not her own. Is not easily provoked. Thinks no evil. Rejoices not in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. Bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things.
Okay, that was it. And I stopped at 7 because I want to put emphasis on the self-will, the self-righteous, and the narcissist. Like that's everything that they do. All they think about is their own self. They vaunt themselves, lift themselves up in pride. They're puffed up. Most of the time you have somebody that's a narcissist, once again, you can't really deal with them in a sense. It's like they're going to behave in a sense where they are easily provoked. Like they get provoked in the slightest manner because the narcissist is already insecure. So therefore they have to appear to be big, but in the inside, they're really hurting. But when you do the slightest little thing to harm them, it comes out. They attack you. That's the first sign of a narcissist, because it's like, if you really operate in love, you should be able to accept constructive criticism. But people look at constructive criticism as an attack or as somebody's hating on them. But it's not like that. Sometimes people really truly see a fault. They really truly see something you are doing wrong or you need to change. But what you do is reflect. Instead of saying, okay, yeah, I did the wrong, you say, but look at you. But that wasn't the thing. When you show somebody something, it's not saying that you have everything all together. You just saw something. Now, this isn't like the mold and the beam situation. This is like you really seeing a fault or something that you see that's going on, that you see a flaw. They say, look, I mean, you may need to work on this in this area. I saw where you did this, but you'd have done it this way. And they come up, who you think you're supposed to be telling me? And that right there is showing a person that they can't be helped, because when they look at the help that they receive has to come from somebody else that they deem to be higher. That's the first sign of the narcissist, because they're not going to accept help, first of all, from somebody they see to be lower anyway. And the Most High going to send whoever it is that's available to help you. That's the thing. You have to be careful, because you can miss whatever opportunity that you have because of pride, because you'll think it's supposed to come that way. It's kind of like, I think it was Naaman, I think, that wanted to actually just let a word be spoke, ready to go dip in that river in the mud. He didn't want to deal with that because he felt like, hey, look, why I got to do that? But the Most High doesn't operate that way. He operates in a way that you have to be obedient. So he'll send somebody. Like sometimes the word said, out of the mouth of babes. It's like you may have a kid come your way and be telling you something. You'd be like, what's going on? Why is this kid telling me this? But you have to be open. You have to be open. Your understanding has to be clear. You have to realize that the way the Most High operate is not the way you think he's supposed to be operating. He don't have to send somebody big your way so that you can understand. He wants you to understand somebody small, because he wants you to be a base. He don't want you to feel like that, because you don't feel offended when somebody big said, because you already deemed them to be on the pedestal already, so you feel great. That's what you need, the praise of somebody. They go, I know I need to get this help from such and such because I've seen everything they've done. But when you have somebody you've seen nothing, like a bum comes up and just say something, like they don't have to be in Yahshua. He could just use a straight out homeless person, just speak and tell you something. And you'd be like, man, it could be him speaking through that individual. Like you have to open your mind if you're saying you operate in the Ruach and realize that the Most High doesn't operate on a natural level. He doesn't operate how you think he's supposed to be operating. It could be just a clerk, in the store or something. Anybody. They can just be saying something. It'll line up with what you need to be straightening up on and something you need to be doing, but you have to be willing to receive it. And this is when you are not operating in pride. You won't look down on that individual and start trying to size them up because they said something, especially if they telling you something. Like you have to make sure that you realize that the Most High in this day and time, he's using what he got to use to get the job done. The time is almost up. Like we don't have a whole lot of time. Like we don't have time to set so much stuff like we think it needs to be set in certain orders and stuff. We have to make sure our life is in order, make sure we're doing things according to the word and will of Yah. But at the same time, he's going to bring forth stuff from everywhere. And you got to be willing to hear and take heed to what you hear and make sure you know this is the Most High. Got a few more. Let's look at Mark 10. Try to narrow some of these down some. Mark chapter 10, starting off at the 17th verse. You can go ahead whenever you get.
Mark 10 and 17. And when he was gone.
So just to give a disclaimer, this is talking about trusting in riches. So you don't need to trust in your riches. Go ahead. And
when he was gone forth into the way, there came one running and kneeled to him and asked him, good Rabbi, what shall I do that I may inherit eternal life?
So for those that don't understand, when they're saying he, we're talking about the Mashiach. Go ahead.
And Yahushua said unto him, why do you call me good? There is none good but one, that is Yahuwah. You know the commandments. Do not break wedlock, do not kill, do not steal, do not bear false witness, defraud not, honor your father and your mother. And he answered and said unto him, Rabbi, all these have I observed from my youth. Then Yahushua, beholding him, loved him, and said unto him, one thing you lack, go your way, sell whatsoever you have, and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven. And come, take up your stake and follow me.
Pause it. So this is what we was talking about earlier. Remember the self-will, self-righteous. So he told them to give it all up and follow me. How you gonna do that if you already got your life constructed around what others think you should be doing, what all you thought you were supposed to do? You're living this lavish lifestyle, and it's like you got this, everything is set up just like you need to set up, but the Most High saying, look, I need you to give this up to follow me. And this is what's going on. This guy, he's telling, look, this is what's going to take for you to follow me. Go ahead.
And he was sad at that saying, and went away grieved, for he had great possessions. And Yahushua looked round about and said unto his disciples, how hardly shall they that have riches enter into the kingdom of Yahuwah? And the disciples were astonished at his words. But Yahushua answered again and said unto them, children, how hard is it for them that trust in riches to enter into the kingdom of Yahuwah? It is easier for a rope to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of Yahuwah.
So this is the thing. Once again, you can't be focused on what you have obtained financially, equaling that you're in the will of the Most High. Like he's not going to have you broke, poor and stuff if you have this mentality to do what you need to do. I mean, you'll be able to live. It's not saying you can't be rich. It's saying don't trust in it. That's the thing. It's like, so we have to look at it like it never said that money was evil. It said for the love of money is the root to all evil. So this is what we have to look at. So you shouldn't love it. When I say that, because you have to look at what is this? A piece of paper. Like now we don't even have real nothing backing it up. You got a currency pretty much. I mean, you don't even have a note anymore. So if you had silver and gold, like I say, we got people killing each other over something that has hardly no value. Like the value is in the product, the value is in the things, it's in assets, but people are killing people over nothing pretty much. So we have to look at this. Don't put trust in certain riches. So once again, you have to have your trust in the Most High and be willing to give up things sometime and realize that you didn't lose nothing because you gave up materialistic, possession. Material possession rather. So the last one is going to be James chapter 5. Once again, we talking about evil, unjust rich men. And so once again, we go to James 5, 1 through 9. That's going to wrap it up.
James 5, verse 1.
You good?
Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries, and reap and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped treasure together for the last days. Hold
it for a minute. So we went there, and I want to show you something here. If you go to James 1, you don't have to turn to it. Just say to the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad. He ain't talking to the world. He's talking to the tribes. He's talking to Yasharal. This letter is written to Yasharal. Like each letter is written to somebody. The Ephesians written to Ephesus. Like everything is broke down. So this is talking to the tribes. So he's telling them. I mean, that's the thing. So we have to look at this. You have to make sure that when you're operating, that you're operating as a just individual. If you have money, don't misuse people. Pay somebody for what they do. Don't think everything's supposed to be done. Like what we see going on here, how you see people that got money and they have this clout and big status where people will do stuff for them just to feel connected. That's not right. You shouldn't let them do that. You have to pay somebody. The worker is due, the hiring is due his wages. Like if somebody has done something for you, you're supposed to pay them a fair, just amount. If you have the ability to do that, we help one another. But that has been so mixing to screw amongst people that dealt with kind of things that were in like other religions and stuff, especially Christianity, where everything is deemed to be free just because you either go to the same church or because that this individual. But this is not how this works. Like if somebody does something for you and you have the ability to do this, especially if you see they have need, you should help this individual. I mean, you should give them, what they pay them what it is they charge for the service. I mean, even if it's a discount or something, that's fine. They give you a discount, but don't expect something for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't have this mentality, where we're trying to take advantage of everybody. Like that's not how the Most High operate. Pay the person for the work that they've done. And because when you have this high status and you're rich, most times people may not even want it sometimes just to be in your company. Sometimes you can take advantage of them because you may just have the power to blackball them or anything. It's like we have to look at what it is that's going on. When you are rich, you have to make sure you're not using this to corrupt your own self for real, because that's what happens in the end. Go ahead.
4.
Yeah.
Behold, the hire the laborers who have reaped down your field, which is of you kept by fraud, cries, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered to the ears of Yahuwah Sabaoth. You have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. You have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. You have condemned and killed the just, and he does not resist you. Be patient, therefore, brethren, until the coming of Yahuwah. Behold, the husbandman waits for the precious fruit of the earth and has long patience for it until he receive the early and latter rain. Be ye also patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of Yahuwah draws nigh. Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Behold, the judge stands before the door.
Yeah. So pretty much like to say you will be judged. Like there'll be no escaping. And that ends it. We're gonna end in prayer. Y'all, thank you right now for the word that went forth. We thank you right now for just increasing our understanding. We thank you right now for giving us even more knowledge and more wisdom. We just thank you right now for just being with us as we depart. We thank you right now for just this day. We thank you for this day of rest. Yes, magnify your name because you're worthy. Once again, we remember to just in all things give thanks. And at the same time, we just acknowledge right now that it's through you that we move, yes, that we live, that we breathe, and that we have our being. And yes, we thank you. In the name of Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, we pray. So be it.